Did you know that laughter is a form of meditation? How fun would that be? I'm so excited that in this episode I get to speak with the very talented Pragito Dove. She is a global authority on expressive meditation and founder of the #1 Expressive Meditation Training School in North America. She's an internationally recognized author, hypnotherapist, coach, and speaker with over 20 years' experience. Pragito helps entrepreneurs, leaders, and CEOs to align their mindset to allow more peace, time, and financial freedom. She shows you how to change your money blueprint, recondition your mind for automatic abundance, and use spiritual laws to create real-world success. Her new book, Lunchtime Enlightenment, Expressive Meditations for Manifesting Peace, Prosperity, and Passion, is out just last month and has already hit the top of the charts. So let's dive in to this Lunchtime Enlightenment.
Welcome to Fox Talks Business Podcast with your host, Tanya Fox. Tanya has been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, owning retail, service, and franchise. She holds no punches and is never afraid to talk about the nitty-gritty. Together, you'll explore the good, the bad, and the motivational of business life, turning obstacles into opportunities and failures into successes. So grab your favorite drink and let's have some fun. Here's your host, speaker, crafter, and collaborator, Tanya Fox.
Thank you so much for taking some time to come on the show today, Pragito. I'm so excited to have you.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, Tanya. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So tell us a little bit about your backstory, because it's very interesting how you got into the field of meditation.
Well, it all started when I was a child. I had a very cruel mother and a father who was a very kind man, but he was not able to stand up for himself, let alone stand up for me and my siblings. So
right.
My mother just ruled the roost, and it was extremely painful. So I had a lot of pain in my heart. I had a lot of fear. I was actually terrified of her. And I had a lot of anger because I couldn't express myself. I couldn't be my true self. I had to sort of shut everything down, and I decided to live in my head because in my child view of everything, I didn't have many resources.
Right.
So by the time I went to college and got my bachelor's degree and master's degree, and I did okay there because that was all from the head.
Right.
So my head was functioning well, but when I started working, I was living in London in the UK at the time. I realized I was a mess. And I did not want to be like my mother, basically.
Right.
I didn't want to be a person like that because I saw how hurtful it was, not just to me, but to basically everybody she came in contact with. So I started to look for ways to heal myself, and I ended up finding Osho, the enlightened mystic Osho, who was in India, in a place called Pune in India. And he taught was teaching meditation, but in particular these expressive meditation techniques, which proved so powerful to bring me very deep healing. And so on my journey, I got married and I had my son. But when I was 6 months pregnant, I found out my husband was having an affair. So everything was sort of piling up, not in a good way. Although, you know, when I look back, I see it was all sort of on purpose, so to speak.
Right, but in the moment, of course.
In the moment, no, that was not fun at all. That was like even more pain, you know. And what I decided to do after my son was born was go to India and see if I could find some peace, some inner peace, some healing for myself. Because the main reason I wanted to heal myself was for my son. I did not want to pass on all that pain and anger and fear to him, because we transmit our energy, and especially as the mother.
Right.
And I didn't want that for him, and I didn't want him to have a childhood like mine. So that was really my main motivation, of course, plus to heal myself. And so we went to India when my son was 14 months old, which was a big leap of faith.
I bet.
Yeah, because the mind was telling me, oh, what are you doing? This is crazy, you know? But my heart was very clear. My heart was very clear. So that was one of my first very big lessons in follow your heart. Even if the mind is telling you, oh, this is crazy, this will never work, what are you doing? And of course, I had a lot of criticism from my ex-husband. He was my ex-husband, heading in that direction, from his family. And I went anyway. And it was the best thing I did, because when I got there, I really was able to dive deep into the healing process doing these expressive meditation techniques, which some were from ancient traditions like the Sufis, the Tibetan Buddhists, but some Osho himself had created new ones. And the point of them is that it's very difficult for people who were like me, full of all that inner turmoil, to just sit in silence. I mean, basically, you can't do it because the mind's going crazy. You're full of pain and uncomfortable feelings, and probably your body isn't doing too great either, because I had developed this back pain because when we keep stuffing down our feelings, the body can absorb it for a while, a bit like the shock absorbers in a car.
Right.
But then the body reaches a point where it can't absorb it anymore, and it goes into dis-ease or illness. And for me, that translated into this recurring back pain. And I'd also been smoking about 20 or 30 cigarettes a day, which worked for the numbing out process.
Right, but not for much else. Right, yeah, yeah.
Right. So
I used to smoke too, so I remember that feeling.
Yes. So I had to look at a few things. But finding these expressive meditation techniques made it much easier. So the laughter meditation, for example, where in the first stage, we just laugh. There's no talking, just laughing. And the second stage, you sit in silence. And you might think, well, what good's that going to do? Well, laughter is a very powerful energy and a very powerful healing agent for the body, because it releases incredible amounts of tension from the body. And then it also opens up the heart. It's difficult to hate people you're laughing with.
Right.
You know?
That's true. Yeah.
And then the other thing that laughter do, it erases fear from the mind, because you can't be worried and laughing at the same time.
Right.
So in the face of laughter, fear disappears, worry, anxiety, they all disappear. So it's very simple, but has so many dimensions of healing to it, and it's free. You know,
Right.
You can just bring more laughter into your day. And it's also the meditation I recommend the most for unleashing creativity. It's incredible for unleashing creativity. And then when you finish the first stage and you're ready to sit in silence for the second stage, you drop down very quickly to your inner silence, your center, which is 2 inches below the navel, and you sit in this incredible silence. And after all that laughter, you just feel filled with joy.
Right.
And it's very easy to drop down after all that laughter.
Right.
So it's an incredibly powerful technique for people, and it's the one I was probably the reason I'm talking about it first, because it's not rocket science to do it, and yet you get these incredible benefits from it. So I got started on that when I was in India, and then there's the opposite energy of the tears, which I had been repressing.
Right.
And so I did a lot of the crying meditation, where we simply, and this one is very good for healing grief, sadness, any kind of feeling of the wounds in the heart, really. So I also did a lot of crying, which was deeply healing.
Yeah. And I guess it would be because, especially, I'm thinking that there's like so many people out there that go, well, that's great to say to meditate, but yeah, as soon as I try to sit in silence, then my mind just races. Like, I mean, it's just, I can't stop it. I try, but then I think about being quiet and silent, but then I'm thinking of that. Like, it's just impossible for me. But for those people too, that sort of, hold a lot of stuff in. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but especially in this day and age where, social media has this different side to people's lives, and everybody is always trying to put their best face forward at all times, that there's a lot of repression that maybe we don't realize we're holding all of those emotions in.
Yeah, it goes on unconsciously for sure, because it's a very difficult thing if you have a lot of pain or sadness to be with that on your own.
Right.
But in the meditations, we're in it together. There's a group of us in it together. And so you have that feeling, oh, I'm not alone. Everybody else has sadness as well. And we can all be in the sadness together, and the healing can go much deeper.
Right.
So it's again very, very powerful and takes courage, because not everybody wants to face it, but on the other hand, if you're willing to do it, the healing is absolutely incredible for healing the heart.
Right.
And then again, you find the inner silence much more easily. Because I think there's many people like me who had, pain or fear or anger as well in their childhood. And then as a child, you don't know what to do with it. So you just shut it all down. And then you become an adult and think everything's going to be different because you're an adult, but it really isn't.
Right.
Because it's still there. It's just got buried underneath your busyness or whatever is going on with your life. And so to give it the space to come up. And so the good news is that when we repress our pain, we're also repressing our laughter and our joy. We repress everything. You can't compartmentalize what you repress.
Right.
Oh, I'll just repress the painful part and I'll still have my laughter.
Right.
You repress it all. So a very unexpected benefit for me in all of this healing process was to find all that laughter, because the laughter helps your healing as well. It's like the more you laugh, the more you can cry, the more you cry, the more you can laugh. And eventually you're ending up with much more laughter than tears. And for me, eventually, I can't remember the last time I cried.
Yeah.
just become all joy and laughter. But of course, that's taken me some time because I had to heal all the wounds. But I had a lot of deep wounds, and a lot of people would have less wounds than I had, you know. So, yeah, so these expressive techniques. And then to talk about anger, because there's actually two, but I'm mainly going to talk about one of them because it's a bit more accessible. An expressive technique for expressing out your anger, which is often the top layer, and the fear and the pain are underneath the anger.
Right.
But for a lot of people, it's easier to get into the anger because then they don't have to look at the fear and the pain underneath.
Or admit it, yeah.
Or admit it's there, yes. So there's a very good technique. It's called the gibberish technique. And it is from the Sufi tradition of meditation and was created by the Sufi mystic Jabbar many centuries ago. And he just spoke in gibberish to his disciples, and apparently many people became enlightened through him and this technique. So Osho updated it. And so what we do is we speak in gibberish, like any kind of nonsense that's not something you understand, not that the mind can understand.
Right.
But also what you can do in it is dump out your anger, like get really, really, really angry and just dump it out in gibberish so that it gets out of your body mind. Because we want to get all these repressed emotions out of the body because it's not good for us to have them repressed. So it's express, don't repress.
Right. I love that.
And see, what we normally learn to do with our anger is either start yelling at somebody or dump it out on somebody else or go and shoot somebody at the worst, case of it, or we repress it because we think, well, I shouldn't get angry. I'm supposed to be a nice girl. That's what I was taught, I wasn't supposed to get angry.
Yeah, well, so, it's not ladylike to.
No, exactly.
Right.
And so I just actually had a blast doing this technique because I was able to vent out in the context of a meditation technique all this repressed anger. And, I would start thinking, well, I'm not really angry. Well, I just had so much, and I found that with all my students, there's so much in there, such a healthy way to get it out. So you do that in the first stage, and the second stage you sit in silence. And again, because you've taken the lid off the pressure cooker, so to speak, so then it's very easy and quick to drop down to your inner silence because you're releasing all that turmoil. So through keep doing these techniques, and there's more, there's dancing, there's a humming technique from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there's the dancing is from the Sufi tradition, then all this releasing of these pent-up feelings, what happens is your true self starts to emerge. Because I was told how to behave. I was told who I was supposed to be. And I had no idea who I was. I had no idea what my creativity was. I could copy other people, but I didn't know what was really from me.
Right.
So slowly started to emerge that I was a writer and I could write these books, which, I had no idea that was inside me, and a speaker and a teacher and I had no idea I had so much joy in me and happiness. And of course, my heart expanded with all the healing, so much love and compassion. And yeah, so I ended up not like my mother at all.
Which was exactly what you wanted. So that was a
Yes,
good thing.
yes, yes. And of course, when I started, I had no idea I'd be writing these books about these meditations and teaching others. But that's one of the beauties, I think, that comes out of when we are willing to go on this healing journey. You just don't know how you're going to benefit yourself and how you might benefit others. Well, we always benefit others, because then, for me, instead of transmitting anger and fear and pain, I'm transmitting joy and love and peace. And then that transmits out into the world and to everybody I come into contact with. And that is a good thing.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the books. Like, what can people expect out of them?
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because I have a new book out, which just was published about 10 days ago. And
yes, that is your Lunchtime Enlightenment, which excitingly was #1 bestseller in 11 categories in Amazon. And it just released this month. That's incredible.
yes, very exciting. Very exciting. So my idea for the book was to make meditation accessible for people, because so many people think they can't do it, or they start, as we've been saying, sitting there, and then the mind's going crazy and they have uncomfortable feelings and they don't want to do it.
Yeah. Or they just give up and go, well, meditation isn't for me.
Yeah.
Right.
So really, I wanted to see if I could help people understand that meditation can be very easy. So I have a wide range of techniques in the book. I think there's over about 150 different techniques in the book, because different techniques work for different people.
Right.
And some people can just sit in silence. You know, some people can. I think most people can't.
Yeah, I was going to say, God bless them. I don't know.
So I have like a running meditation and a jogging meditation and a walking meditation. I have meditations for cleaning your house and when you're at home. I have meditations for when you're at work in the office. I have all these expressive techniques in there, which I've been just been talking about. And there's 9 main chapters, which are the 9 basic principles of meditation. And the first thing I do in the first chapter is explain what meditation is and what it is not. So meditation is not a technique. Sitting like this, chanting mantras, that is a technique.
Right.
Now, it can lead you to meditation, but meditation is a quality of presence that you can bring to any activity. It's actually very simple. It's being fully present in the now.
Right.
As we are having this conversation. Yes?
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people struggle with that, because they're always thinking of other things.
Yeah.
What is next on the list, or what's coming up, or yeah. And I think that's important for a lot of people, is to take that moment back and, like you said, learn how to be present.
Yeah. Well, and I always start with saying to people, now that you understand this about what meditation is, being fully present, I'll bet you'll find there's quite a few activities you do in your daily life where you are fully present. Like you are now doing this interview and so on. And one very fun and easy way is to do things that you enjoy. Because when you're doing something you're enjoying and having fun, why wouldn't you be present?
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's a natural, easy way for people to learn about being present. So just bring more awareness to that and notice how present you are. For example, playing with your dog or your cat, or playing games with your kids, or running down the street, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what the activity is. What matters is the quality of your presence with the activity.
And do you find, like, so some people are going, well, that's great, and I can do that in something that I enjoy, whether that be a craft or just an extracurricular activity. But they might be thinking, but how can this help me, say, in my business, or when I have to do those tasks that maybe are more of a necessity than necessarily going, yay, I have to file today, or
Yeah, yes, tell me about it. Yes. So, well, one thing that is very important to do with tasks like that is to have a positive attitude to it, because attitude is everything. And if we have a like, oh no, I've got to file today, or I've got to do my finances today, and you approach it with that energy, then that's the energy that's going to be there with it. And I've done this with finances. I just changed my attitude and decided I was going to enjoy it instead of complaining about it.
right.
And
Because it's going to happen whether you like it or not, I guess.
exactly. And, you know, and when I first started my business, I was thinking, well, I'll just hire somebody to do the finances. And a friend of mine who was a bookkeeper, she said to me, no, Pragito, you must always be on top of your finances. You can hire people to do things, that's fine, but you must know the ins and outs and what's going on. And because otherwise people can take your money, you know?
And I say the same thing too. I always say to people, don't hire out a job until you've done it for two reasons, like you said, so that you know what's going on, you know how to pay attention to it, especially for finances, but you know what it's like to do that job. So it's a lot easier to understand when you've done it, you know, to go,
absolutely.
I get it. I get that this might not be something that you enjoy doing because I've been there.
Yes. Yeah. So I now really enjoy my finances, and I enjoy talking about them. And I just completely changed my attitude. And see, I decided to make it a meditation. Right. I decided to make finances a meditation. And it just changed everything for me. I also did the same thing with my driving, because I used to drive, well, I'd often be late, and then I was driving like this. And
right.
And I got, I think, 3 speeding tickets in a row or something. This story is in my book. And I got this ticket and I thought, what am I doing? Because if I do one more thing, I'm going to lose my license, you know? So I had to take a long look at the whole driving thing. And again, I decided to make it into a meditation and be present and always leave early, so that I'm not stressed out about being late. And if I get to the place early, then great, I've got some time to relax, but at least I should get there in time if traffic's bad. So I just completely changed my attitude. I made it a meditation and never had a ticket since.
Thankfully.
And now I enjoy driving. Instead of before, it was like a chore. I didn't really like to drive, you know. So I just had to change that. So one of my students recently was having this thing about technology, and sort of realized she was actually afraid of technology, but always like couldn't click on things and couldn't get through. And
Right.
I said to her, make it a meditation. She's been with me a long time, so she understands how meditation works. I said, just make it a meditation. Everything to do with technology. And it just changed for her instantly, you know?
Right. So for those people who are listening and they're thinking, okay, I have this one task that isn't my favorite thing to do, how would they go about turning that into a meditation if they're fairly new at trying meditation?
Right. So first of all, starts with the attitude, I'm going, you to just make a decision. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to look forward to it, you know, whatever it is. And then be fully present. Because presence has a quality to it of joy, of love, of creativity. And it fills your whole body, and it feels good. And breathe. Just remember to breathe. And there you are in presence. And then when you're in that presence and doing this task, it transforms the task. It literally does.
Then the task becomes, because I've used this technique before, and I have found that when I do that, all of a sudden, that same task that used to take me hours, you know, all of a sudden doesn't take me as long.
Yes.
Because it's all of a sudden I'm accomplishing it faster. And it was just, I was amazed. I honestly was amazed that simple mindset. I realized that I wasn't procrastinating on it. I wasn't, you know, and all of a sudden this task that I was like, this is going to take me 2 hours, all of a sudden was, 20 minutes. And I started thinking, what was I doing before?
Yes. Thank you for saying that, because that's exactly it. And I talk about this in my book, chapter 8 on awareness. I talk about exactly what we're talking about here and give examples for when you start your day. Because the more present you are and the more relaxed you are, then the more productive you are.
Right.
And you get things done in no time.
Yeah. I love that. I love that technique. And I think it's a good thing for people to, to get the book, because it does take them through steps on how to do it. Because a lot of people go, well, in theory, but it's hard to find something. And I love that you have step-by-step how to do this, because I think that's important for people.
I have steps for everything. And I also have stories. Some of my own stories, and some are stories from my clients and students.
Right.
To illustrate what I'm talking about. Each chapter of the main 9 chapters starts with a story. So that you can understand in the life of somebody that could be you.
Right.
How this works. Like my driving story with my speeding tickets is in there. And also,
well, and I think the story helps you put it maybe into perspective.
Yeah.
Or to be able to go, oh yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah. Yes, it makes it real in real life, rather than meditation being some esoteric thing up here about candles and, right, chanting mantras. But my approach is very practical, very down to earth. And how you integrate it into your life, into your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
With all the ordinary tasks that we do every day. So that's why it's called Lunchtime Enlightenment. Yeah.
I love that. Now, not only has, we talked about this book being #1 in 11 categories, but you also have the #1 Expressive Meditation Training School in North America. So tell us a little bit about how that came to be, that, why you started on that path, because you did talk about finding that teaching was something that was a gift that you had.
Yes, thank you. So I realized that I couldn't reach as many people as I wanted to, just me, because I'm just one person. And actually my vision is to reach millions of people worldwide with the benefits of meditation. So then I had the idea, like, if I train people in all these meditations, then they can start teaching people, and then eventually they can train people and they can teach more people, and this is how we reach everybody in the world. Yeah, so I started the training school, I think it was probably about 10 years ago now, and I have a level 1 and a level 2 training, and those will start in January of 2021, and they'll be online.
Okay.
And then the level 3 is the 6-day in-person in Tucson, Arizona, the practitioner certification training, because I can't do all of these expressive techniques online.
Right.
There's a lot that I can do online, but I tried with one of my top students. We tried some of them on, and they just didn't really work very well. The laughter works very well, so I have a special little program for the laughter meditation. That one works well, but for the most part, the other ones, we need to do them in person.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's great for people who, you know, maybe have used meditation before and are interested in, you know, sharing that definitely should be something that, you know, that they can look into as well. So tell us a little bit about, because you have 2 other books, correct? Besides the Lunchtime one. Tell us a little bit about those books.
Well, I have one of them here. Like I said, I actually haven't got my copy yet of my new book, but this one, Laughter, Tears, Silence, you can see it there. This book I dedicated to, I really wanted to say more about the benefits of laughter and the benefits of the tears, and then the benefits of being in silence and being able to sit in silence and seek out silence and find silence within. So that is the main premise of that book. The laughter has, which I've already mentioned, really has all the benefits for the body, for the mind, for the heart, and spiritually, because laughter acts as a bridge to take us from this conscious world we're in now, when you close your eyes right after it, to that deeper place of inner peace and inner silence in your center. So it has a spiritual dimension to it as well, which I think a lot of people don't realize, and maybe don't realize the multi-dimensional benefits to laughter, and how easy it is to incorporate it in your life, and it can transform your life, literally. Yeah, when you just bring that awareness to have a laughter practice every day, which is what I encourage people to do. Just make sure you laugh every day for shorter or longer time, however that works. So what makes you laugh doesn't matter. Just that you're laughing is what matters.
And I think that that's, you know, such a wonderful thing. And, you know, that the tagline is, you know, for my show is, you know, have fun. Because if you're not having fun, why are you doing it? And that's one of the things that I do every day, is search out something that, you know, is going to bring me joy, is that I'm going to have fun with, whether that's an activity or, like you said, just finding laughter. And what a great thing to have on your to-do list.
Yes. And it's the homework all my students get. And then the second part of the book, I go into the energy of tears, which is the opposite energy of laughter. So they're like 2 sides of the same coin.
Right.
Because in some situations, you can either burst out laughing or you can burst into tears. And both of them are expressions of the heart. It's like the mind cannot say anything anymore about the situation. So you just burst out laughing.
Right.
You don't say, oh, that was a funny joke. You start laughing. Yeah. And, the same can happen with the tears. You can just burst into tears seemingly for no reason.
Yes, I did that last week over seeing Meatballs. And we were in the grocery store and my husband's like, why are you crying? I'm like, I don't know. I saw Meatballs. And he's like, what? And it wasn't until I got home and I realized I need to call my mom. Like the Meatballs just reminded me of my mom. I had no idea why, but she used to make meatballs for me and I loved them. I don't know, but it was just a very odd thing. Like, it's like, I don't know, meatballs are making me cry. I don't know why.
Well, I'm so glad you followed that up and got the insight, because there's always a message.
Yeah.
And it's very important that we cry our tears, because we have them biologically. We have the ability to cry, and it's important that we do cry to express those feelings. And so there's 3 dimensions of tears. The first dimension is the one we're most familiar with, of sadness. Crying tears of sadness. But then the second dimension is this tears of joy, where we're crying because we're so happy.
Right.
This happens quite a bit as well, and that is a good thing. So just let it happen. And then the third dimension of tears is on a much deeper level, the spiritual level of. And this is what happened to me when I first went to India and I first saw Osho walk out. I just started crying. And what it was tears of relief. Like, oh, thank God, I had this feeling I have found the answer. I didn't know what the answer exactly was at the time, but I knew I'd come to the right place. And then turns out the answers were the meditations. And it was just tears of gratitude, really. Gratitude and relief. And that's on a much deeper level. So I explain all of that in this book. And I also have quite a few different meditations people can do to encourage the sadness to be expressed. Because when we cry our tears, we're unburdening our hearts. We're healing our hearts. Because otherwise the heart is closed. And we want our hearts to be more open. So both laughter and tears heal the heart and open the heart. And so the deeper you go into the tears, then you start going into the silence, which is the third part of the book. It's easier to laugh than to cry, so we start with the laughter. And then it's easier for the tears to come when you've done a lot of laughing. And then the silence is easier. And I just talk about different ways to find silence. For example, in nature, you can find silence. Nature is a great place for our healing. And especially if you can find a place that is silent. And the interesting thing is it's not actually silent, because you can hear the wind, or maybe you can hear some little critters.
Right.
Or, you can hear the rain too. But it's a different kind of sound. It's not man-made sound. It is from nature, and it's deeply healing for us to be in nature. And I also have suggestions for like a 24-hour, being in silence for 24 hours, for example, which is not talking to anybody. So you can still be with people, and maybe they would do it with you. But it's a very interesting experiment to do when you when you take away the talking, the TV, the internet, I mean, you can still do things like you could do your knitting or your crocheting, or you could do art, you know, something that is non-mental.
Right.
And just it can really shift your perspective on your life and on how you see things. So I have quite a few suggestions of things people can do like that to help find because it all fosters being connected to your inner silence, which we all have within us. But usually we have so much noise in the head and so much busyness that we're not really aware that it's there.
Right. And so tell us a little bit about your other book as well.
Well, my other book, Lunchtime Enlightenment, is also called this is it here. This is the first edition of the one that's I just published the second edition. So I changed a few things. I sort of infused some fresh energy into it. I added one new chapter and took one chapter out. But it's it's the second edition of the first book.
Yeah.
So
that's wonderful. So if, you know, and I know especially entrepreneurs, which is the majority of our audience, are constantly go, go, go. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show, is because I think we need to learn how to slow down, how to be in the moment, and how to do that mind shift change. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, but I know there might be some people who are like, I don't really know how to do this on my own. And, you know, I get the reading a book might work, but maybe they want a little bit more help in that. What would be the best way for them to get in contact with you to get a little bit more assistance on learning these techniques and being able to use them?
Well, my website is discovermeditation.com. And you go there, you can sign up for my Laughing Buddhas Network newsletter.
I love that.
Thank you. And you get a free gift when you sign up. And I also have a Facebook group called Laughing Buddhas Facebook group. So then people can read the newsletters, read the posts in the Facebook group, and people can contact me through email. There's a contact button on the website, or through messaging, private message. And please say you're from this show, because then I know how we connected.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes?
absolutely. And you had a special gift for all of our listeners today. Tell us a little bit about the ebook that you have.
The ebook, that is 30 daily meditations. So these are all very doable techniques and can help you on that day-to-day basis. And they're all very short, in the office or at home, or when you're having your leisure time. Just all little helpful hints and tips how to stay more present with yourself. And then that's when things start to shift quite a lot.
Yeah. And so we'll make sure we have the link where everybody can go on our website, on our blogs page. So where you can get a hold of Pragito, find her website, and then as well get your copy of the free ebook as well. It has been such a pleasure to talk and learn more about your story and about some tips. So thank you so much for taking time today to come and give us your knowledge.
I have so much enjoyed it, Tanya. The thing I like talking about the most is meditation. So thank you.
For many years, I heard people constantly talk about how meditation really helped them to center themselves, to reduce stress, and all of the other things that go along with it. But sitting in a room just in silence, my mind would race so much that I could never really calm myself. And so I just figured that I just wasn't a person who could meditate. But learning some of the techniques from Pragito allowed me to realize that I do have the skill to be able to do it. I just wasn't choosing the right meditation for me. To learn more about the techniques that Pragito talked about in this episode, you can visit our website at foxtalksbusiness.ca, click on blogs at the top of the page, and you will be able to see all the ways that you can connect with Pragito to be able to purchase her brand new book that's out, and a lot of other fun ways to connect with her. And so I urge you to take some time today, like Pragito said, to just find laughter, because that can be the start of meditation for you as well. And as I always say, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it?